Okay, so we can get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blessing, and I am founder and lead consultant at PR Fusions, a public relations agency that works with individuals and organizations to meet their business goals or personal goals through communication, strategic communications specifically. And I am going to be moderating this session where we'll be talking about digital transformation for startups. And I'm excited that we're having this conversation. I mean, I'm a big fan of technology, and technology is at the center of digital transformation. I mean, we can't talk about digital transformation without talking about technology. And I mean, I have seen technology work across various industries and various sectors to revolutionize those spaces. And I'm really excited that we're going to be having this conversation. And we also have experts in the room that will also take us through how technology has transformed their businesses, their spaces, even their careers, so that we can learn from them and of course ask questions to know exactly how to apply the same technology to our businesses as our lives as individuals and businesses as much as possible. So this is the SME clinic for April, and it's powered by Business Day. It's great to be here, and it's great to have everyone here. So as we get started, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat box. We will have a Q&A session where your questions will be answered. I'm sure that our speakers are here and they're ready to share knowledge. So please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and as we go along, we'll answer your questions. All right. Okay, so we'll just get right into it. I have Damola Richard Salvador, who is the CEO and lead strategist of DigiSplash. Damola, thank you for joining us today. I also have Charles Avis, who is the CEO of First Pay Technology. Thank you, Charles, for being here today. I also have Ihakachi Nwabweze, who is the head of global marketing at Gray. And I have Temitope Orilua Godwin, who is the founder of Digital Business Nigeria and Eagle Predicts. Again, we have great people on this session today, and I promise you're in for a great ride. So get your pen and paper ready, and let's just get right into it. So I will start with you, Kachi, and I just want you to talk to us about what digital transformation is, especially as it concerns startups, SMEs, micro, nano SMEs, and all of them, basically. So from your understanding, what is digital transformation for these people?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Blessing. So I have a request. Can I turn off my video? There's a lag in my network, and I think that it's affecting my sound quality. Thank you for obliging.
Okay, problem.
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so digital transformation is actually a very interesting topic/concept, especially when you think about how it's important for every kind of business, no matter you decide to be business, small, medium-sized business, or even as an enterprise, right? Everyone has something to gain from digital transformation. So a lot of what is involved in digital transformation is really rethinking your old operating models, experimenting more, and I'd say becoming more agile in your ability to respond to your customers and your rivals. So in this sense, agile would not, well, agile, we all know agile means. It means for you to take action, be active, and then the agile methodology is like a common term for everyone who works at a startup, right? It's one of the most common methods of project management / putting a product out to the market. So in a nutshell, I'd say digital transformation is, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, digital transformation is, I think I got this definition from the internet, using digital technologies to elevate businesses and meet rising consumer demands. You're going to be optimizing basically how your business processes are handled, which is everything in operations, how they are managed, how you're monitoring them, how your customers are satisfied. That entire process, right, is digital transformation. For every company, it's going to look different, especially because companies, no matter their size, are always at different stages of growth. How it benefits you, I think that was the last part of your question, as a startup is, it's something that you can utilize in customer acquisition. It's something that you can utilize to simplify your process, improve your efficiency, especially when you're talking about how you operate. And it also reduces your margin for error, which means you're less likely to make mistakes, especially if, not especially if, for example, you're in the e-commerce space. It's very easy to make a mistake or a slip up that can cost you money. So being able to like go digital helps you really improve that process and make less mistakes. So yeah, I think that's my answer to your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that you have done justice to introducing the concept of digital transformation. I will now move on to you, Temitope. So, just talk to us about your idea of digital transformation, especially for startups, and particular about startups and SMEs, because they're the ones on this call. And they also want to be able to know how to use these digital things, these digital technologies for their businesses.
Okay, thank you, Blessing. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so are we good? Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so I would approach it a different way. You hear Kachi, right? She really did a great introduction. So, but I realized, I saw the lineup and I saw there were a lot of specialists and industry people here. So I would literally just try to do an overview of everything digital as at today, where we're coming from, where we are at the moment, and give us a snapshot as to where we are going. And I'll also share some tools that I currently use in my businesses. And I'll also share some links for things that people can use to, jumpstart their businesses, their startups, their, digital online SMEs. And so let's just kick in basically. So this will be talking about the fifth industrial revolution and other technologies. This speaks to the history of the industrial revolution, where we're coming from 1784 when the whole water power system mechanization started. And I think things really kicked off in the 1800s, where we started having the assembly line, electricity, cars, and all these things started coming up. So that was massive. Everything, when you talk of tech, really, it's not just, IT. Basically, whatever new thing, gadgets, has been created to be able to change the way we do things, is, new technology. As at then, a car was a new technology, electricity, new tech, all these things. And we now go down to 1969, where we started having the computers. There was more automation. Industry 4.0 would say kickstarted, will not say kickstarted per se, but really got introduced 2010. And I think to a large extent, that's still where we are hovering around. And Industry 5.0 is, where we are going. I would say in a large sense of it, we've already started there, but we still have a long way to go. I think majority of companies at the moment, majority of firms, startups still operate around the Industry 4.0 era. This is just a snapshot. I don't know if you can see everything I'm sharing. Is that fine?
Yes, we can see everything.
Okay, so this is just a snapshot of Industry 4.0, what it looks like, our mobile devices, smart phones, introduction of big data analytics, smart sensors, 3D printing. We can see that when we start talking of Industry 5.0, we'll be talking of 4D printing, and all that. And because of time, I would skip through some of these things, but maybe during the question and answers, then I could talk more. And I would, if possible, also make my slides available. Okay, so this is Industry 5.0. So these are some of the things that we'll be looking at: more collaborative, human-centric technology. Coming from 4.0, where things are just all about, cutting costs, automation, AI introduction, and all that. From 5.0, there'll be more advanced AI. They'll be looking for ways to bring in that human factor in technology, in AI, Internet of Things. And there'll be more focus on sustainability, as we can already see in the days that we are in. Most organizations are creating a process and a model around sustainability. And there'll be more resilience, of tech, because we'll see what happened during COVID era, whereby, just one small shakeup, the entire world was done. But with Industry 5.0, I think some of those things or some of those issues, to a large extent, will be addressed. Sorry. These are some of the things that we'll be looking at when we're talking about Industry 5.0. Big data analytics. There'll be more customization of technology, more personalization of technology. Right now, we are in the era of 4G, 5G, but by the time we go deep into Industry 5.0, we'll be talking about things like 6G. Blockchain will be the order of the day, at least from what we've read about the tech coming up. Okay, so we can't talk about digital transformation without speaking to data. Data is the bloodline of, every business startup in this era. If you do not understand your data properly, if you don't manage your data properly, you'll just be living day by day. Your entire process of collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and applying this data would basically be a massive competitive advantage for startups and for business going forward. So these are some of the characteristics of big data. You look at the volume, you look at the velocity, so speed at which is being generated. You look at the value, the places where the the data is coming from. You talk of the data quality. That's when you talk of the validity. So these are just, they call them the V's. It was 5 V's, but now it's been expanded. So these are some of the characteristics of data. For those that might not be very much aware, as most people are just familiar with megabytes and gigabytes, and maybe some people have heard of terabytes. And so, but this is how you calculate it in terms of bytes. So you have the 1,000 megabytes make a gigabyte, 1,000 gigabytes make a terabyte, 1,000 terabytes make a petabyte, and you have it down to this is snapshots of big data, or rather data in a day. So you have about I think this is as at 2020, or these are just varieties of data collected over time. You can see 500 million tweets a day. So these are snapshots of data from various organizations, and there's one interesting one here. As you can see, 2013 we had about 4.4 petabytes of data total accumulated in the universe as at then. But as at 2020 we had about 44. I think now it's about something or something zota. So in terms of data analytics, organizations should approach it in this format. So you ask, you prepare, process, analyze, share, and act. Okay, so let me explain. So in terms of data, most times the process is not collecting the data first, then now thinking of what you want to use it for. The process is asking yourselves various questions as to, okay, what do we want to achieve? Then when you've understood what you are trying to achieve, what you are trying to do, and you now start looking for where to get this data from. When you've identified where you want to get the data from, and you can, start storing the data, start collecting the data, then the next, because most times when you collect this data, it's scattered. You can't really use it for a lot of things. So when you get the data, you clean it up. You ensure that it has all the necessary qualities. It's clean. It's up to date. It's not old. Then you now start analyzing the data, and in the process of analysis, you get to start interpreting, understanding the data very well. And once you now understand the data, you know what you are doing, then you now act on it. So I'll browse through. The topic was so broad, so I just had to bring a lot of things together to just give us a snapshot of where we're coming, where we are at the moment, and we also look at where we're going and tools that we can use today. Okay, so let's keep moving. Please, can let me know. Let me know when when I'm running out of time, because I know. Okay, so technology of technology of tomorrow is here. In terms of AI, blockchain technology, and we can also see the applications in the financial sector, healthcare, educational sector. And I will give you a very good example. A friend of mine, Ayo, he owns a company called Akowe. And what they do basically is they help schools, basically universities, secondary schools, to confirm certificates. So currently now, the process of certificate confirmation is a very cumbersome process. You know, you go to your school, you ask them to send your transcript, to send your certificate, they'll send it, they'll seal it, they'll send it to one other school, and it's a very long process. It can take as long as 3 to 6 months, especially understanding how our federal universities work. So he has been able to use blockchain technology to be able to help in for people to be able to withdraw real-time information as to students' education, their certificates, and whatever information you want about a particular student. So a school can just log into, Akowe and get whatever detail, confirmed details about that person from their WAEC results. It's old school that after 20 years, someone is saying, where's someone's WAEC result, where's someone's this and that.
Hi,
So
Temitope.
yeah.
Hi, Temitope. Sorry. Okay, so we will give you 2 more minutes so that we can go through this and also come back to Q&As. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. So let me just rush to. These are some of the trends, at the moment in terms of new tech. We have 5G, 6G coming up, robotics and all that. We have blockchain technology and its use in terms of today. And I wanted to get into how blockchain works, but we don't have that much time. So let me wrap up with this. So currently, for the startups I work with, these are some of the tools I currently use. And I think that they will be extremely useful for startups for today. Tavos, that's the only one I don't use out of these tools. Tavos is one that helps you. You can check it out, but basically for people that do B2B, it can help you do multiple introductions of yourself, your company, and by just recording one video. You can check it out so you get more details. ChatGPT, I think most people already have heard about it. There's Midjourney for images, and video helps you to multiply your content. So you just need to create one video and you can create several bits of it from it. And we have these other ones that email, Zapier helps you connect different platforms together. Grammarly helps you. So the basic thing with this is with some of these tools, some are free, by the way. With some of these tools, you can be able to cut a lot of expenses. One staff can be able to do things of like that you've employed 10 different people for in the past. You can visit futuretools.io. It's somewhere I check regularly to see the latest technologies that are out there. And in everything you do, please be careful with how you share your data online and how you and who you share it with, as data and its management in today's world is the new gold. So thank you. My name is Temitope Owiloa, and I'm around for whatever questions.
Thank you, Temitope. Thank you very much. And I mean, we're going to go into a masterclass session. Yeah, we're going to go into master. I mean, I started hearing big data and web 6.5.0 and all of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're here for this. Thank you so much. And I mean, for me, my PR agency is a startup, and then I'm just hearing all of this, and it's like, is this not too much for me? Can I even handle it? And I mean, I'm going to come back to you so that you can simplify it for us and simplify it such that we can, those of us on this call that are SMEs, can conveniently use everything that you have shared with us. And I mean, thank you for sharing those AI tools. Of course, they are a great way to start, even with having little to nothing. By little to nothing, I mean budget wise, but it's great to know that we have these options so that we don't feel left alone or stranded at any point in time. So thank you, Tim Dokwe. We'll come back to you. Hi, Charles.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Okay, so talk to us about digital transformation for startups from your perspective.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen, unfortunately.
Okay, I am going to give you just 5 minutes.
Don't worry, I'm going to do as quick as possible. Please kindly confirm you can see.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. So today I'm just going to really glance through, what digital transformation is all about, right? My name is Charles. I'm the CEO of FusePay Technology. We are a fintech company, and we provide infrastructure. So what exactly is digital transformation? So in a literal context, digital transformation is more or less like a fundamental shift in culture, mindset, processes, and organizations in the use of technology. Underscore the word, the use of technology, right? And more importantly, you want to actually take a glance to the roadmap through which shift in culture, mindset, and processes of an organization evolve over time, right? But then, more importantly, you want to also underscore the fact that the ultimate goal of digital transformation is not the technology itself. It is optimization, productivity, efficiency, to actually get performance to remain competitive in the market, right? Now, so I'm going to go a little bit back. The previous speaker was very explicit where he was talking about the evolution of technology advancement from evolution 1.0 to currently the inception of what we call the evolution 5.0. Now, in 2010, there is something called the retail apocalypse, which happens between the year of 2010 and 2011. What happened in 2011 was a massive retail closure of businesses where the mortar and brick businesses were failing. Why? Why were they failing? They were failing because this was the year, in 2004, was when Facebook started. In 2010, 2001 was where we, as Nigeria, began to experience what we call digital banking, where we now have the likes of InterSwitch, started what we called, the switching system for banks. Before then, it was manual, right? And then between year 2001 to year 2010, we saw the evolution and the disappearance of things like physical memory card, things like flash drive, things like big hard drive, things like CD, right? So at the fullness of what we have in 2010, the globe experienced was called the retail apocalypse, because the use of technologies, digital tools were now more prominent. Google is now almost everywhere. We now have YouTube. We now have quite a number of technology that is now enhancing the way and changing how we do business, right? Now, this is really important to understand, because it is not in the evolution of technology that determines digital transformation. No, it is in the mindset to consistently be effective, productive, and efficient across the span of time, right? Through the use of technology, because the technology itself is an infinite construct, right? What I mean by that is, we have ChatGPT today, right? I have a privilege to be working on a very big infrastructure such that we are using existing AI, tools to transform how developers work, such that, you're no longer going to need developers in the nearest future. And how is it going to work, right? In something that's going to take you a year, you can program in less than a week. All right. So these are things that are happening. So which means technology itself will always emerge. Right. So what happens to businesses if technology itself is not a constant, factor? So digital transformation is a compulsory shift, right? It is a compulsory shift. So it is not, it's not a negotiable, context, right? Any business, any startup that is not having the awareness or the consciousness to imbibe the culture of digital transformation will experience the same thing that all the mortar and bricks experienced in 2010 that led to the retail apocalypse, right? So the goal of digital transformation, like I said, is efficiency, not technology. So if it's efficiency, then we now need to talk about strategy. So technology is a means of delivering a more efficient business processes, right? So for transformation to happen, any business, through technology, need to change their mindset. They need to have an existing goal for how their business itself is going to transform. And before we can be able to have a clear understanding of what kind of strategy to deploy, right? We then need to talk about, okay, what are the building blocks? But before we talk about the building blocks, right? So let's talk about digital transformation objective building blocks, right? So we have about 6 things, very, very importantly, that we must consider when it comes to digital transformation. You look at product, you look at processes, you look at growth, people, and customer. And the 6th one is insight. Now, so product, these are all the aspects of business, right? So for anybody in startup, like I said, it is not about how much technology, how much tools is out there. It's about an effective applicability of the right technology to drive efficiency, productivity, such that the business itself remains relevant, competitive, and sustainable, right? That is the fundamental objective, right? That's the fundamental objective. So because this is a fundamental objective, business owners, startups, they need to look at their product. You must think of ways to optimize and make your product experience seamless and better through infusion of technology. All right. A typical example in what we are basically doing is that because we are into payments, we are helping wallet providers and payment infrastructures in the world to actually expand globally, right? So now, we as an infrastructure for other businesses who wants to expand to other countries, who wants to take payment, right? Our infrastructure have the capability to receive payment across 15 to 27 countries in Africa, right? So if you look at your product, does your product have a global appeal? Do you think your customer exists on a global spectrum, right? So you take the objectiveness, right, of the product value proposition itself, and then scan around and look at what is the available use of technology and tools that will enhance the efficiency. Then goes to the processes, which is the optimization of production capacity. Consistently delivering of excellence must be the key in which startup engage in fusion of tech. So what exactly are you doing? So a typical example is I have a donut factory with a production capacity of about 30,000 donuts on a daily basis, right? And we're thinking of how can we use digital transformation to actually, do something different. So we infuse the use of airtime. So on the pack of the donut, you have airtime. But what are we actually doing? The donut factory is an advertisement company itself, such that at the back of the pack, we are advertising. And we are using the airtime to drive download. So that's a typical example. So which means the people who pay for the advert pay for the airtime. But then the people who buy the donut itself get more value. Just imagine buy a donut of 100 naira and then you get airtime of 15 naira, which is actually not in the cost of the product itself. So what am I trying to say? Optimization of your production capacity, right, through the infusion of technology have to be contextual to the nature and the value proposition of your business itself. What is the process of your business? Then we go to, customers, all right? The objective must surround the use of technology to enhance product delivery, support experience, and how you attend and respond to customers. Very, very important, all right? Because today, customer is the lifeblood, is the lifeline of every business. Without customers, right? I'm not talking about users. Users are people who probably, are engaging with your platform or with your product. Your customers are people who have actually paid. So which means for you to deliver a consistent and seamless experience, right? You need to think of digital transformation and the available tools. A typical example will be the reason why Kuda Bank a couple of years ago went boom, right, was because it is a branchless bank that allow you to do significantly a lot of things that the traditional bank is going to have you walk into the bank to do, right? So this is a typical example of what digital transformation is, right? And we have seen a lot of these things affecting, traditional businesses, right? So then you look at people. The people who works, your employees, the stakeholders who works within the organization are also very, very key to your digital transformation experience, right? So what kind of tools are you going to use? Or are you going to imbibe the use of AI to ensure to optimize and, and increase the efficiency of their productivity? So these are things you look around, right? Now, then the next one is growth. You must think strategically around what tools are out there, right? Be it advertisement tools, depending on the kind of business you are doing, because digital transformation has nothing to do with whether you're doing a tech business. Like I said, it's not about technology itself. It's about your business objective and the relevance of available tools in a way that you can achieve the maximum productivity, right? So you want to look at what's growth, what strategy do you have for your growth and what digital transformation can do for that? Then the more important one is insight, right? So businesses must engage strategically on how they can get maximum insight from their businesses, from your processes. Do you have insight for your product? What insights do you have about your customer? What insight do you have about people? What insight do you have about growth and business, right? And of course, previous speakers they've also touched base on the impact of data analytics and all of that. So it is not everybody that has to use all the available tools. You need to contextualize it to your own use case. But the thing you cannot do without, right, as a business is data. Data inform how you make the right decision, gives you the clear understanding of market metrics, customer behavior, and a lot of things. And then you can basically see change across the spectrum of time, right? So now, excuse me. All right, so the roadmap, right, to digital transformation has to start from strategy, all right? Then you contextualize it to the organization. Then you create a system to build a culture. You introduce the technology, right? You deliver it to the customer and let it affect the people, all right? So digital transformation itself, it is not it's not something you can just become in 1 week, right? It's a roadmap. So which means the first thing is digitize information, organize information, automate processes, streamline processes, and transform the institution. So it is a continuous participle, right? It is a continuous context or construct through which you move from digitization of all your existing processes, all right? Which means you are changing your analog from analog to, where applicable, digital experiences, right? So which means if you have form that you're manually filling, how can you infuse technology without slowing down your process? Always underscore when you're thinking of digital transformation, efficiency, all right, such that you don't create redundancy in the bid to infuse technology. Sometimes, if technology is not well deployed or contextually deployed, strategically, it experiences a diminishing return that does not necessarily create the result. And what the business will then experience is an unintended consequence, right? That limits the business itself. All right. So when you have this, then you then organize the information, and then you now find a way to use tech to automate a couple of things. The essence of automation, right, which then takes me to my last slide. You can see the key objective, right? The essence of automation process is to improve productivity. How many, if you are able to do 10, what can you use technology to do? Now, in 2020, when we started the donut factory, sometimes in protocol, we're using manual processes, but when we had the new set of factory, we bought new machines, right? New machines that that can cut like 40 donuts in less than 1 minute, something like that. And this is what a traditional or normal analog process will require a human being to use like hand to cut, which is going to take a couple of minutes. All right, so that's what you're looking at. The reason why you're digitizing some of those processes is to see how you can, save time, right? In statistics, there's something called, optimization programming. It's a mathematical function that helps you to understand how you can maximize to install capacity, the efficiency of your business operations, the people you have, the tools you have, and time slot, right? So you can do a couple of research with that. Then streamline processes, which means you want to ensure that you cut cumbersome processes, ensure that there is no redundancy in the process, right? Why must it be 5 processes if it can be 2, right? Without actually obliterating the core essence of the value proposition and the objective of that particular goal itself. All right, so there's so much to talk about, right, on digital transformation, but I'm going to leave it at this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Charles. Of course, you took more than 5 minutes, but that's okay. Thank you. So I'm supposed to come to you now, Damola, but if you don't mind, I want to get back to Kachi very quickly because she's also pressed for time and needs to exit this meeting very soon. So Kachi, I will come back to you. Damola, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Thank you very much. So Kachi, you have the mic now.
Thank you, Damola. Sorry, I just have to leave soon. So everyone has really gone in depth on what digital transformation is. But I'm a marketer, through and through, and I really do enjoy talking about grand concepts like this in ways that people can, actually use it. Let's call it simplifying a very grand concept. So I want to share my screen and I want to talk about 2 things in particular. Just let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you. So when we started introducing this topic, right, I spoke about why startups or small businesses need to undergo digital transformation. So digital transformation sounds like a very big concept. So let's call it going digital. So that way, why do you need to integrate digital into your business? I said earlier that it helps you with customer acquisition. You're going to be able to get new customers and increase your sales. It helps you simplify your processes, which means that you can work better and you're more efficient. And then it reduces your error margins. So there's less human error, and then there's a reduction in interference from humans. Using what Charles said with his example about his donut factory, right? He talked about when he bought like a machine that could make 40 donut holes in 1 minute. A human being would probably not have been able to do that. So that tells you how, going digital can in fact, help your process. The key thing that I want to talk about 2 key things, in addition to what everyone has said. So failure is something that we don't think about. So when you embark on something new, Charles shared the roadmap on how you should do the attempt to go on digital transformation. But the truth is, 70% of the time, at a minimum, even more, these attempts fail, right? And why do they fail? Nobody really starts out something saying, I'm not going to make it. Everybody starts out a new project, starts to add something new to their business with the mindset that it's going to work out. But the truth is, a large percent of the time, it doesn't. 70% is a very high margin. And the things that can make, attempting to infuse digital into your business fail, I'm going to just talk about 4 things, right? Not having a clear vision. So if you're not clear on what exactly it is that you want to do, you're most likely going to fail. So let's use onboarding. You're trying to onboard a customer. And if you're not exactly sure on how you want to do it, you're probably not going to be able to make that process better. So you want to identify the best way to, my example, onboarding, to onboard your customer, and then do it again and again. And then you now see what doesn't work, and then you iterate on that and do it again and again. So you're able to utilize data, which Kimi talked a lot about, right? You're able to utilize that data instead of trying to create it from scratch. So imagine that you're not going back to see what did not work, and you're just assuming, okay, so I'm just going to overhaul this whole process, and then it doesn't work. You don't revisit why it's not working, and then you just try to introduce a new process. That is most likely going to, cause failure for your roadmap. Second thing is forgetting to take your customer along on the journey. Charles had a very good distinction between users and customers. Interesting. You using his kind of jumping off his example on digital banking. For a long time, people used to go to the bank to like deposit money. People used to go to the bank when they wanted to send money to people, whenever they wanted to do very, very minute transactions. And then we're like, hey, we can make this a lot easier. I mean, I work for a fintech that makes it possible for you to send money to the UK in 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. And usually, if you wanted to do that, you would have had to go to the bank and then request for like foreign exchange, try to fill a form. Takes a whole lot of time. But if you don't inform your customers, right, on why they need to make that change with you, if we're not telling our customers that, okay, so, hey, this is why we need to, not go to the bank anymore. I mean, the pandemic forced everybody to know that some things can be done online, which is great, right? But if your customers still don't fundamentally understand why that needs to happen, your attempts to do that will not work. Right? Your customers will resist and then you failed, right? So the way that you will train your employees to understand why something needs to change in your process is the same way that you're going to have to train your customers to understand why something needs to change in the process. Another reason would be lack of long-term commitment. So you might start out doing something and then you may not see it through to the end. This one happens a lot. You realize that there are too many blockers, there are too many bottlenecks, and it gets frustrating, and you can just leave the whole process. And then your business units within your startup don't understand your role. It's like another reason. So if you're not very clear on what exactly each person is supposed to do, it's most likely not going to be successful when you attempt to introduce new digital processes to your organization. Right? So everyone has to collaborate because, like everyone here has said, the goal is not the technology. The goal is the efficiency. And really what drives the efficiency is the people who have to make that work. So I think that's all of that. I want to talk about how small and medium enterprises, aka startups, can harness the power of digital transformation to grow. I think this would be the last thing I'm talking about. So one would be staying agile. I put examples in here on how to practicalize this instead of just talking about concepts. When you find a balance, right, between staying flexible and meeting your deadlines, you're agile. So using agile technology to run your business helps you move ahead, reduces your bottleneck, and then you're more productive. So a common example is like if you work at a startup, is having stand-ups. If you don't work at a startup, those calls that you have first thing in the day, where you go over what did I do yesterday, what am I working on today, and if there are any blockers from what you did the day before, you address them and how you can improve it. That's like the simplest way to go agile. So going over that like daily helps you, that's actually you just going digital, no matter how small it seems. So even if you're a big business, right, those blockers can cause like a wastage of man hours and money. So if you want to be productive in your business, staying agile is key. You're going to meet your deadlines because of course you're discussing every day what is a blocker for you, and you're able to take it out faster, as opposed to if you have to wait to send a long email or wait for something to be addressed first. Time is money. So the more time that passes, the more money you're losing. So an example of how digital transformation in this case can help you stay agile would be one, automating tasks and roster assignments. This makes sure that the people who have to work for you are always available to take on a task, even the ones that pop up unexpectedly, because at every point you know what each person is doing. Another one would be open lines of communication, which means that everybody who has to work on something is on the same page. This is very simple to implement. It doesn't require you to like infuse any new technology to your business. The most important thing that you're changing in this case is your mindset. Another way that you can harness the power of DT is optimal environment, setting up an optimal environment for work. So people who work with you have to work together. I mean, collaboration, teamwork makes the dream work, and all of that. So if one person is working towards, if half of your team, for example, is working towards one goal and the other half is working towards another goal, chances that we're going to reach their intended goals are like slimmer. Right? So now digitalization has helped businesses, right, transform the way they work so that we're even more connected than before, even in a work from home situation. There are different tools, there are techniques that have been implemented by a lot of people that even if you're not physically present, you can work optimally and still do good work, So the most important thing is your work environment, and as opposed to let me put it this way. So you will most likely get more work done if you actually looked forward to like spending time working in a particular kind of environment. So you could work from home, you can work on the go. There are like tools that help make that easier. There's Slack, there's Basecamp. You can create a collaborative space where your team members can share ideas and suggestions. So Slack and Basecamp have things that you can use to really drive that collaboration among your team. But then for businesses who might not be able, I know Slack has a free plan, but then for businesses who might not be able to use Slack just yet, there's like communal messaging platforms. Like I think you can even use WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups. But then the idea is that everybody is coming together and everybody is like sharing their ideas. That's why you find tools like Google Meet these days has like a whiteboard section. I think even Zoom has it. There's like a section for if you want to have a call where we can all bring our ideas at once, because at the base of it all, the reason everyone is doing business is because they want to grow their business, and collaboration helps your business grow. Right? Communication helps your business grow. It's like the cornerstone of having a successful business. If your team is not able to communicate, it becomes difficult, and you'll notice that people will have like harder times doing things. So tools like this help ensure that there's a continuous exchange of ideas between all your stakeholders, which is like the people who work for you and all of that. So I think the next one here is data-driven operations. I think we've talked a lot about data today. I like to say that data makes the world go round. And we collect a lot of data. For example, when you go to let me use a bank example again. When you go to the bank, you want to create an account. Oh no, let me use Gray. Let me bring it home. So when you try to create an account on Gray, you're going to get asked for your name. You're going to get asked for your age, gender. You're going to get asked for where you live. So now all of this information is data, right? How do you use that data? So let's say you're an e-commerce. You can see that, okay, I mean, there's no point collecting data. I want to say there's no point collecting data if you're not going to analyze your data. And I think Dave Topper talked to us earlier about, data analytics. So it's pointless to get data and you're not analyzing it. You're just filling up your storage space. So use your data to work for your business. You can find out as an e-commerce that, okay, so I have 50% more female buyers than male buyers. Okay, that's an even margin. Let's say 70% of the people who sign up for my business are female. What does this mean? What can that do for my business? Should I be focusing on creating more campaigns that speak to women? Should I be focusing on trying to get more men to sign up on my platform, especially if I'm doing something that appeals to both sex, to both genders and all of that? So use your data to work for you. You can let's use an e-commerce example. You can see that on your storefront, say perhaps you have a Shopify store, a lot of the people who come to shop from you land on a particular page. Let's say you sell shoes. So a lot of people come and then check out a particular kind of shoe and leave that page and then buy something else. So you notice that you have a huge drop off on that particular page. What do you do with that data? Does this mean that, okay, this probably tells you, okay, it's either the purchasing power of the audience I'm speaking to is low. I want to, use less. I probably need to stock less of this item. Do I need to do like a sales on this item? And the only way that you're able to see this is because you're analyzing the data that you're getting. So you can get valuable and accurate data on how your customers behave when you analyze your data, and you can make better decisions on what you're selling. And then you can see all your business data from a single point and understand, how your customers really think. Data that your customers voluntarily give you is an insight into their mind. So we should take data-driven operations quite seriously. And I think the last thing, which is where we're going to end today, is automating your workflows. So once you automate your workflow, which I think everyone has talked about a lot, your processes are better. We're humans, we make mistakes, right? You cannot even avoid making mistakes unless you're a machine, right? So infusing technology into your process means that you're going to make less mistakes, right? Because you can program, say for example, a robot or a piece of software to do exactly what it is that you want it to do. So going back to e-commerce, if you have a warehouse and you want to stock, you're like monitoring your stock, using digital, you can see exactly how much stock you have at each point in time without necessarily having to go back to like manually count. You can get notified when you're low on a particular thing. You can get notified when something is out of stock and stuff like that, as opposed to having to do it manually, right? So you can avoid chaos by organizing and automating as many processes as possible. So I think we'd all benefit from, looking inwards to figure out, in my startup, in my business, what can I automate? So when you figure out what you can automate, go ahead and figure out the best way to automate it, and then automate it. So you'd realize that it frees up more time for you to do your market research, strategize on how to reach your audience, use the data, analyze data that you're collecting, figure out more resources, and generally how to make your business better. Right. So I wanted to just point out 4 simple ways that SMEs can harness digital without needing to break the bank or go too far. And Blessing, I think I'm going to end here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kachi. And I was also taking notes while that session was going on, and there's so much data. I've encountered businesses that say, oh, I'm selling food, I'm selling clothes and some of these things, and they just ask you what's your name, what's your delivery phone number and delivery address, and then that's it. And I think that there's a lot more that businesses can there's a lot more data that businesses can get from customers so that they can make use of it. I think information such as your birthday, so that they can even send you messages. So I want to ask you before you run off, what are these simple information, these simple pieces of data that you think small business owners should try to get from their audience or their customers that can also help with improving how they operate and how their business runs in general? I mean, I know you've touched on some of them, but I want some that are more specific to small businesses.
Okay, sure, I can answer that. So let me give an example. So every time I try to buy something on Instagram from a particular vendor, so the first time I bought something from her, she regular, oh, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your delivery address? And then the next time I tried to buy something, she said, am I delivering to the same address? And I'm like, oh, yes. So that is an example of a small business utilizing data, because it really like gets my goats when I have to, give you that information again. So you'll see that I've made like several repeat purchases, and each time you still ask me, so where do you want it to be delivered? What's your phone number? And I'm like, well, you get all this data from me. You've gotten it up to 4 or 5 times, and you're still asking for it. So that business is clearly not utilizing the data that you're getting. So I'd say first, aside from knowing what data is collect, learn how to utilize it, because that's something that keeps people coming back to you. They know that this vendor actually takes time to like know. But on the other hand, you said a couple birthdays, people like to get birthday messages. It's something that everybody likes to like hear from, no matter how, I mean, that's why no matter how annoying it is, you see your bank always sends you happy birthday or your birthday. Even if no one sends you, your bank will remember. You remember, oh, I have an account in this bank. That's true. So yeah, birthdays are very important because it helps you with like customer stickiness and engagement. Collecting gender is important, so you know what to pitch to people. So you see a lot of people do sales around several items. There are obviously items that several genders would be interested in using. Say around special periods, say Mother's Day, say let's not use Mother's Day. Let's use a very open-ended period. Say Christmas. So you find that if, for example, you're a business that sells children clothes, a large percentage of the people who patronize your business will be women, considering the kind of world that we live in. And then you'd find that if you were, for example, going to have a Christmas sale, it doesn't make sense to send emails about a Christmas sale to like men, because we live in a very traditional society. They're probably going to give the money to their wives to make those purchases. So you want to send those kind of campaigns to the women instead. So that's like another way that getting gendered data also helps your business, knowing how you want to create sales campaigns around it and all that stuff. I think another piece of data that's very important to collect, although it might be tricky, is like age. If you're able to like get that, I think if, for example, you have an Instagram storefront, you might not be able to get age directly, but when you run ads, Instagram tells you the demographic that sees your ads. So you now know, okay, so a large number of people who interact with this at this particular age. Perhaps when I want to run a next set of ads, do I want to include items that with this same ad set? Do I want to include items that can appeal to this group of people more and stuff like that? So off the top of my head, aside from the generic name, location. Okay, yeah, location is another very important one, because you know that if something cannot ship to a particular location, it doesn't make sense to advertise it to that location. So name, location, birthdays, age, and I'd say gender. Those would be like the most important pieces of data that businesses can start collecting right away that they can utilize.
Thank you very much. And I mean, I'm sure that people have questions. If you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. Or sorry, in the chat box. Thank you, Kachi. I don't know if you're still able to stay on this call, but if you are, I will come back to you. If not, we really appreciate your time. Thank you. I will now come to you, Damola. However, some people have reached out via the chat box to ask for the slides. So the team at Business Day will send the slides to you. If you are interested in the slides, please just send an email to Esther. I will drop Esther's email address in the chat box so that you can get it. And panelists, if you don't mind, please share your slides as well to send them to Esther so that we can also share with our participants. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Okay, Damola, I will now come to you. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry I'm coming to you this late. So the lead question is for you to talk to us about digital transformation for startups from your perspective.
Okay, thanks so much. Interesting listening to, I hope you can hear me. Yeah, so interesting listening to everyone. I took a lot of notes as well. I think it's turning into a masterclass. Okay, so in terms of startups, I'll say startups have a big advantage when it comes to digital transformation because, like the word itself, you're just starting up. So it's easy for you to adopt the right processes and basically the mindset from the beginning. I'll just speak briefly on some of my notes. So the first thing I'll say is that when it comes to digital transformation, let's just look around. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I started in the digital space, I remember my boss used to tell me that digital is the future. Today, digital is now. It's not even a future thing. Things change every day. I think the first speaker was speaking about 4G. Today, we're talking about 5G. If you think of the time it used to take you to download things in the past, 5G will make things that you take 20 minutes to download, will make things 100 times faster. And what's the most important part of any business are your customers. If you don't have customers, you're basically out of business. Today, if you look at Uber, they are the world's largest taxi company. They don't own any cars. Facebook, the world's most popular media platform, have no content. Alibaba, world's largest valuable retailer, they have no inventory. Let's even take it home. So you look at like one of our clients, Z-Banks, they are a loan company, a fintech. They give loans, but most of their customers, they've never seen them physically. Let's even look at something that everybody can relate to in Nigeria right now. So let's look at politics and voting. INEC was supposed to have a system that enables less controversy. They were supposed to transform our voting process. And what that would have done, some of the issues that are coming up now, what digitalization and transformation gives is that it reduces human error. Like I think the last speaker, and Kechi also had mentioned as well. So for your business, you need to don't see transformation or digital transformation as for the tech people. A lot of people just feel that it's for the tech people. So you look at across the different examples I've given. There's a client that we're working with, Meko Autotech. Usually people think of going to mechanics. Now the mechanics come to you, and they're just an app away. So if your car breaks down, wherever it is, all you need to do is go to the app. So the processes that you currently have, you're just looking at so let me even start with my own definition of digital transformation. I'll say simply simplifying your business processes and your customer experiences using digital tools. It's as simple as that. So just think of your current business processes, your current customer experiences. How can you simplify and make your services more efficient using digital tools? In terms of steps, I think some of the other speakers have mentioned some of them. The first thing I would say is to run a diagnostic. So it's kind of going to a doctor and you have a headache and they're rubbing rub on your leg. A lot of businesses approach things that way. They just think everything is, when you ask people questions that you do digital, most times what they will tell you is yes. And what they are doing is they are posting on social media. Social media is a good part of digital and digitalization, but that's nothing. How are your processes done? How are you meeting? In your diagnostic, it even helps you realize what you need to do. Helps you realize what marketing platforms you should be on, what digital tools you should be doing. So in terms of your diagnostic, you analyze things step by step. So first, let's analyze your customers. Look at your customer journey. How did they meet you? How can you improve those processes? Where are your customers? What is your customer journey like? What are your consumer touch points or your customer touch points? How do they interact with you currently? How can you improve those processes? If you look at a lot of the fintechs, they will tell you that you can transfer money to 20 countries. Very true, they do it, and I'm sure that some of our panelists are working some of the best ones. And they tell you they have a lot of promises. A lot of banks nowadays have great promises, but go and check their social media and feedback. People are constantly bashing them. So gone are the days where you can use technology to Google people. People want to see better processes. The customer journey needs to improve. Your business processes need to be better. So for me, I think the most important part of the digital transformation is to run that diagnostic. Find out what are your customers looking for? How do you improve those processes? What are their complaints? The second part of it is to do a diagnostic on your business processes. So like people have mentioned already, what are the things that you can move from traditional to digital? So a good example, every time you visit a corporate organization and from the security, for me, I even find it irritating from the gate because they waste so much time with things that should have been digitalized. So every time you come to that office, you have to write your name again. When you're leaving, you need to sign out again. It wastes time and you're not optimizing things well. A better way, imagine just as simple as having a tool to automate that. Automating that just means that you won't save money on the security. You may not need as many security officers that you currently have. You may not need that many receptionists that you have at the time. Apart from that, like the other speaker had mentioned, you're getting data. So everybody that comes in, this whole system, you scan in, maybe only the first time you need to type, you're able to write. You type in the person's details, give them their number. If next time they come, the receptionist is asking, is this your first time in this organization? If it's no, they ask for your name, they search for it, they find it. They even tell you, this is your 5th time here. If it's a business that is a retail, you could even reward the customer for coming for the 5th time. You could send a mail to the customer saying, thank you for visiting us. This is your 50th visit to our shop. And we would like to thank you for visiting us. And here's a 5% discount on your next transaction. We see how you're marrying your customer journey, your business processes, your mining data, and how that data can be useful in making your decisions. So another important part of it, and why I believe that branding and marketing, everything always connects, is you need to also know your brand archetype. What kind of brand are you trying to position as? And understanding and doing that diagnostic on your customer journey and your business processes will help you identify what kind of perception or what the perception your customers have of you and what perception you need to change. And if you're positioning rightly to them, sometimes you meet a lot of companies that say, oh, we're a very innovative brand, but their customers don't agree. Their customers just think that their processes are cumbersome and time consuming. So the diagnosis helps you, realize these things. I don't have much time because I have a meeting shortly, but to also add in terms of simple tools that people can use. Okay, let me finish the processes. So after you've done your diagnostic, understand your customer journey, find out your brand archetype, look for the digital tools that solve those problems. So now you've found out what your customer journey is like, you found out the area that are deficient, what tools can solve them. Then you create a journey, your digital transformation journey. When will it start? What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term objectives? Do it into a milestone. What will you achieve and when? You can't do everything at the same time. You may not afford as a company, as a startup, to implement everything at the same time. So maybe the first thing you do is to automate your attendance records. Second thing is to automate your invoicing. Third thing could be introduce some digital marketing. So maybe some of the things that you're doing currently, you need to digitalize them. A good example of some tools also, even what we're using right now, Zoom. You don't need to meet some of your customers physically. You could be saving some money on your journeys by just giving them the option of a virtual meeting. So maybe you can create a process that just shows that in analyzing your business processes, you realize that your cost of operations are very high. You spend a lot of money visiting customers. So let me give you an example, maybe a fashion designer. So maybe you have a fashion designer, you have an Instagram page and a website. And usually you go to your customers for measurements and delivery. If you automate, so you could automate your consultations by virtual call. You don't need to physically see them. You can talk to them on the call. That saves you money on the journey. After you see them, so you can give them consultations. Customer is calling you. Everybody knows how annoying it is for tailors in Nigeria. You don't need to physically go there and show them. You can show them the updates virtually on your Instagram page. So basically, what digital transformation is about is looking at your processes and seeing how you can use digital tools to solve them. I'll just give a list of some tools, and I think I'll just end with that because of my time. Some of the tools people already use. So Zendesk helps you automate your customer feedback. So instead of having to chat with people and call people all the time, you could solve that problem by automating that by using a chatbot. Things like Asana in terms of internal communication between your team, Dropbox for photographers, Instagram for almost every kind of business. HubSpot is a good tool. It integrates a lot of your customer journey and your internal processes together. They have a lot of cheap options that you can start with, a lot of cheap packages you can start with. And maybe if you're more advanced as a bigger company, you can look at doing some customized software and the likes. MailChimp is a good way, using newsletters, communicating with some of your customers. Trello, PayFit, there are a number of tools. You could also even just Google them and look for some simple tools. But I would say the most important thing is do a diagnostic of your business and your processes. So you're not just applying what works for somebody else, or your work works for another business. At the end of the day, you need to find out what makes your customers happy and ensure that you're doing that. If your customers are not happy, you have the latest 5G technology, you'll be out of business. And very soon, you won't end up going to court like INEC and people petitioning you. All right, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think that's it for me. I'll just stay in a bit. My meeting hasn't started yet. Once it starts, I'll have to leave, but I'll stay on, see if I can answer some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Damola. I completely agree with everything you said, and it's important to know what you're doing, right? And I mean, often like I learned somewhere, a lot of people just start entrepreneurship because they want to not necessarily because they want to create a solution, but because, well, I want to be a CEO, or I want to have my own business, or as a means to an end, basically. But while at it, and I mean, everybody's journey is not necessarily the same, but there are some common denominators. But while at it, is also important that you even know where you're starting from. I mean, like Damola said, do a diagnostics, know what is good for your business at each stage. Should I be on Instagram? Should I be on LinkedIn? Should I spread myself? How far should I spread myself, so that you also are careful not to spread yourself too thin? And it now begins to affect your customer experience and then your output. So thank you, Damola. Somebody has a question that I would like you to answer before you leave this call. And the question is, it says, I am at the market research stage of a fish subscription box. I would like to know which digital tools and strategies I can deploy to get data and act accordingly with the feedbacks from the focused market I'm looking at. Would you be able to help answer that?
Okay, I think that's a nice, I never actually thought of that. That's such a nice service to offer. A fish subscription box. I'm not a big fish eater, but I'm sure the fish lovers, like my mom, would love that kind of subscription. Maybe I should subscribe for her. But yeah, I think the first thing, like I mentioned, is understand your user journey. So first, look at what ways are you getting data. I think that's the first question that you need to ask. Your current customers, do you have any information from them and data from them? Analyze your current database. What kind of people are they? Where are they located? What is their spend like? If you have nothing at all, what I always start with, those are the kind of questions you should be asking. The current ways you're marketing, how are you marketing currently? Can you create forms as well? So even as a small business, you can do a Google form and send it out to some of your customers. You can find out where did they hear about you from. That is one thing that is important in getting some information. I think surveys will be the major thing. Those are like the simplest way to get information. You can just survey your current customers. If you have some that you've been working with for a while, you can do interviews with them and just ask them questions. Yeah, I think that's the major thing that I would advise. Do some surveys on people. Do a survey. Most times, you can even do a Google survey. Send it out to some of your contacts. Ask, do you buy fish? Would you subscribe to this? If you want to find out more information on the pricing, you can have options on the pricing. If my current box costs 10,000 naira, and these are the things in it, what would you like to have in it? If I added this to it, is it too expensive? Get feedback from the actual people that buy and from actual people that actually use your service already. Yeah, I think that would be a good example. You could do some surveys, you could promote some of your surveys. But I think the first thing, the simplest one that costs no money, a Google form, if you have a Gmail account, it's free. All you need to do is just create the form. The major thing are the questions. You can send that out, analyze your audience first. If you have over 100 customers already, that's a good base to start from. And if you don't, you can look for 100 prospective customers that you think would be interested in your service and reach out to them, find out questions from them. Also, you can do a competitive analysis. So are there other companies that do something similar? What kind of data information can you get from them? How do they meet their audience? What are the things they do? Observation too are some things that you can do. If you don't have any customers you can look at in Nigeria, you can also look abroad. You can just go online and research what do they do in similar environments. So maybe look at countries like India, where their economy is quite similar to the Nigerian market. Looking at America sometimes and the UK may not be a good fit because our countries are different, and income levels and demographics are totally different. But look at similar countries, see what has been done there, see what works there. I think that would be some of my advice. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Damola. Thank you. And if you are able to stay on the call till we go around, that would be great. But if not, that's okay. Thank you again. So I will now come back to you, Temitope. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Hi, Temitope. Okay, so while you were taking us on the masterclass, I wish we had enough time so that you could actually take us through the entirety of it, because it would really be great to understand all of the technicalities, because sometimes it's just a lot to handle, but being able to have it broken down would just be the way forward. But that's that's okay. My question to you now would be, what are some of the challenges that startups face, especially with digital transformation and adopting technology to optimize their businesses and improve their processes? What are some of the challenges, and then how do you think that these challenges can be overcome?
Okay, so some of the challenges I would say startups and small businesses face, especially here in Nigeria and probably in Africa. You can see someone in the comments like complaining about data in terms of research that they are trying to do. It's part of the challenges they have in Africa. Data collection in Africa and in Nigeria especially is a very difficult one, because you are trying to start a particular business, and you want to do your research as to would customers like this? How much would they be willing to pay for this service? While you can do everything like Damola said, do your survey, do your, use various means. You can do like a focus group. While you can do all that to get data, people in US and all that don't have that problem. There are several research institutes, there are several sites that you can just go for, download the number of people in this area that do this, that end this, that do this, that do that. Everything is like very clear there, but in Africa here, in Nigeria here, data is an issue. Another challenge startups face would also be funding, depending on the business model. So, because I've had that argument with someone, should a startup optimize for growth, or should a startup optimize for profitability? And it depends on the business model, basically. But yes, funding can be a very big issue, even to those that bootstrap their business, that start from the scratch and grow. It's not an easy task, and a lot of times they need money for this. So some of those people that you see that bootstrap their business from beginning, they have a little money, or they partnered with someone that has one money, or that has this number of skills, and they were able to come, depending on the nature of business anyway. Because I've seen my business, for example, Eagle Predict, we did not have much, but at least I had something. I was able to pay a developer to develop something for me. It was very little, but it was something to start off from. But a lot of founders don't have a dime. They have a great idea, and but it's easy for a lot of people to just say, once you have a great idea, you can easily but yeah, funding can funding can be another issue. Knowledge as well, getting the right people, human capital, getting the right people. So I'll tell you for free, like currently now the market for human resource is not, it's not easy at all. And in fact, if you look at the cost of a lot of startup expense, a lot of the startup expense you see nowadays going to human resource, because they need to bring in developers, they need to bring in marketers, and a lot of these people don't, like the people that really know what they are doing, they don't come cheap. And with the fact that it's now a global world, you can sit in Nigeria and be working in US, be working in Canada, be working in UK. A lot of people, if you don't pay them right now, like they are not the people that have the skill that you need, they would not work for cheap. So, and that is why some people have a sort of partnership structure that they work out. And but yes, human capital, it's not, it's a massive challenge in this day and age. So how do you, and there's also the issue of government regulations and all that, because majority of the new startups that are coming, especially within the technology space, Nigeria especially, and some other African countries, they are not fully aware, and they don't really understand how a lot of this, there was a concept a friend of mine came up with, and we're talking about it, and we realized that there's no even structure really in Nigeria to, govern that entire system. And the ones that are even close to it, when you hear the amounts that maybe the SEC is asking for, or the CBN is asking for, when you hear the amounts that some of these organizations are asking for startups to even be able to have the necessary license to do what they need to do, it's a lot. So I think, ways around it. So for me, the way I advise some of the way I do, and the way I advise some startup founders, I was like, look, you know what? For me, the best thing you should do is, number one, whatever way you can use to start your business, just start. If you can open a social media page, no matter how big that. So there's a friend of mine who always says that you should always think local. So think local, but also see how you can expand that thing that you are doing globally. And, I always advise my friends, like, no matter what it is that you want to just start, if it means just opening a Twitter handle or a social media page and start posting about that thing that you want to do, and start getting people's opinion, and start getting people's buying, start getting people to register, even if you don't have a site, which currently now there are several ways you can even get a site for free. Even if you don't have a site, open a Google form, let people who are interested start giving you their details, start giving you their email, their contact, and you just keep posting, keep talking about this idea. And if it's something that needs funding, if it's something that needs a sort of partnership, you'll be able to get people's buying. I was at an event the other day, and by the time I shared some ideas that I had with a couple of people, like about 3 people were already saying, you need money for this, you need money for this. So, just put yourself out there. Like the fish box guy on the comment, put yourself out there, tell people like, this is what I'm doing at the moment. This is what I want to do. This is where I am. And, you can definitely see people to support you, either if it's through human capital, if it's through finance. You can definitely see people that can support you there. Then also for the issue of government, it's a lot, but I would advise startups also just start. When you start, you keep running your thing. You will get to that point of relevance where you can now, start speaking to these government organizations and say, okay, for this, I can give this, or I don't have up to this, or we can do this, we can do that, and you can start working on your structure as well. Getting solid board members on board. For startups, it's very important. If you have a solid board that has solid people on it, as much as you can get people within that industry, people that can help promote that business to another level. If you need to give them a bit of stock, or you can, if they are your mentors or whatever, get them on board so they can help you when it comes to things like best practice, ethics, and depending on who those board members are, they can also be able to advise you on how to go about some of these government issues that people face. Yeah, so those are some of the things I can share.
Thank you so much, Temitope, for sharing this. And they're very insightful. And I hope that everybody on this call has been able to take away something, even if you're not able to get funding, you're not able to get the right data, and you're also not able to get the right people. Sometimes collaboration helps. And that may just be what you need to move your brand to the next level. So thank you very much for sharing this with us, Temitope. Charles, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm still here.
Okay. So my question to you now is, how can startups choose the right digital solutions that they need to support their transformation efforts? And also, what factors should they consider while trying to do that?
All right, thank you so much. So when it comes to choosing a tool, right? So there are two things, there are two folds to put into consideration. So the first fold is, there are some businesses still experiencing product validation. So because we need to bring it down to what is actually realistic, right? So digital transformation, like I said, is a journey. It's not something you attain, just in one day, right? So is the business itself still at product validation, market validation, right? If the business is below, the threshold of market validation, and you're still trying to get your product right and all of that, so what those kind of business actually need is digitization, is how to use digitization to enhance that they have a product market fit, right? And the entire digitization process has actually been dealt with through all the past speakers and all of that. All right. So a typical example will be, what exactly are you offering? Because when we talk about startup, there is no cast in stone, right? So a typical example will be, so for my donut factory now, right? It's not a business that you can market on social media. Are you seeing the problem? All right. Or it's not a business that you say, okay, the relevance of ChatGPT, right? Because ChatGPT is not going to produce you donuts, right? Exactly. So we need to come home to what exactly your business is all about, right? What exactly your business is all about. And do you have a product market fit? Now, if you want to have a product market fit, then we now need to talk about, using tools like survey to get data, to get people's feedback, to understand what exactly the market need is as in context to your product or the value proposition that you're trying to offer, right? Then the second fold is, okay, you have a product market fit, you are selling, and then you want to use digitization to enhance your productivity. Now, let's say other tripod of the whole thing, which is you're already a functional company, and then you need to be relevant. So it is companies who are already standard, who are already stable, you're already generating profits, that actually do digital transformation, right? Before you get to that level, what you're actually is going to be digitization, right? And in the process of digitization, because you're a startup, you have the leverage to basically, use available tools to ensure that whatever is that you are deploying, right, you are starting with the entire culture, because there are twofold to culture. You have the culture for customer, you have culture for internal stakeholders, right, who are doing the job. Because if you don't introduce some of this digitization process, there is not going to be that culture such that will unfold through the test of time. Okay, so a couple of years, I think last year or last 3 years, MTN actually did a rebranding, and they moved from being a communication company to more or less like an ICT and payment, right? That's a typical example of what digital transformation is. All right. So because they are already seeing the trend of what is happening, and then they are diversifying their portfolio, and then they are reculturalizing what's it called? The people, the customers, and all of that. Now they now have a PSB license, and then they are processing payment and all of that, right? Because that is the future. That's what a digital transformation looks like for companies. All right. But for small business owners, for people who are just trying to start up businesses, right? You want to actually, do that point of evaluation that, okay, what exactly do I need? So if I am doing a fashion business, for instance, right? So because I can be anywhere and produce fashion, and then I can sell that fashion to anybody. So there is a fulcrum of intersection between, using digitization to enhance, number one, my business outreach. So which means I can use, advertisement to reach more people, right? Which means I can use, what's it called? I can use things like affiliate marketing to actually reach more sales, right? I can use YouTube to create content, right? To get more followers. I can do things like literacy on how people can, what's it called? Reserve and maintain their cloth just to get, content and eventually, cross-sell and upsell, right? So there's a lot of things around that dynamics. And that dynamics is totally different from someone who is actually, freelancing, right? And a freelancing can be, someone that is providing, software development, right? Okay. And then you know that your job is 100%, digital. So from the customer acquisition to onboarding to delivery, it is easy to automate that process, right? And then there are some mortar and brick businesses that, the type of digital transformation you use is not such that are internet-based, right? Right. But there are smart technologies, right, that you can use to drive and increase optimization. So the whole wisdom around digital transformation is about the founders themselves, so that we are not in a bandwagon effect of the correctness that we must do digital transformation and miss the entire point. The entire point is not the technology, like I said in my slide, right? The focus is optimization and you as a business to be relevant, all right? So the key point is don't stress your customer. If there are available technology that you can use not to stress your customer, do it. So in one of our products that we delivered, right? So we, in a when you do a transaction, when you send money to a user, so there is a particular record. But what we did was we added a chat section to that record, such that if a customer have an issue with a particular transaction, instead of sending an email, and copying the reference and all of that, no, just go to your app, go to that particular, record and click the chat button, and then you're able to chat with the customer service. And the customer service will not need to ask you for anything because all the details that the customer service need to provide you all the support you need is already in that chat box. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So that's a typical example. If you look at the amount, okay, so for instance, from like a month now, I have been trying to do a reconciliation of transaction, in millions, and I've been sending more than 64 emails back and forth. So a typical innovation, right, can solve this singular problem. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So which is the concept of what I'm talking about around the fact that the whole idea is that if you have a product, how can you make your product better? By infusing technology. What technology is available? And that answer is peculiar to your area of business, which is where to actually engage in digital transformation, you must go through a process of research, right? A process of research. And the major challenges we have today is that people just want to do copy and paste, right? We see a lot of doubling of business models, right? I will have to go in 3 minutes. I have a meeting by 12. So we have a lot of doubled business models because this person is doing it. You just copy and paste it without any strategic essence, without checking if this will actually work for your businesses, without considering the pain point of your customer. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. All right. So an individual or any startup founder need to consider the need of their business and then go into a research for available solutions. So for instance, if you are a high demand, startup and you do transaction and, what's it called? You are going to interface more with customer. Part of digital transformation, which a lot of people don't talk about, is product perfect iteration. Now, according to Jeff Bezos, he said the best customer service, right, ever, the best customer support ever is so that customer don't have to complain. That's the best customer support. All right. And how do you do that? So which means in product iteration phase, right, startup founders need to spend more time optimizing their entire process in a way that it is the error rate is very, very minimal, right? If you can use technology, if you can do the hard work in building such that customer don't have to complain, right? You will not need a high traffic tools to engage customers because there's a lot of complaints. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So you can say, companies say, oh yeah, we are doing digital transformation. We use this stuff for customer engagement, but that's not the point, right? What technology can you use to deploy to ensure that customer don't even have to be that much complaining in the first place? So these are different dynamics of system optimization. That's why I said that for digital transformation, it has to be strategic and has to be based on corporate objective of the 5 which I said: the product, the people, the business growth, right? The processes and the data you get actually, because you need data and you use data to bedrock your research. Everything you have to do have to be empirical, have to be scientific, right? So which means you collecting data. We have a lot of data. So for instance, now, if you go to the bank, let me tell you how it is. If you have an issue with your account, right, they will ask you for your NEPA bill and all of those ID card and all of that for a particular problem. After you are done with that, if you tell them again that you have another problem, they will still ask you for the same thing, right? All over again. So these are issues, right? Which means there's no system for reusability of existing or collected data because everything is separate. Now, another, major challenge, which is in the fintech, is fraud. You have Gray, you have Flutterwave, you have, FusePay, you have, Paystack and the likes. Everybody just have data, MoneyPoint, OPay, everybody have data independently centralized. But if there is a port that collects all of this data together, it is easy to do tracking of it is easy to do tracking of fraud and all of that, right? So that's basically the concept, right? Business owners need to identify exactly what their problem is and use research of available tools to solve the problem contextually. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you. One thing that sticks with me from everything Charles said is you need to know where your business is, know where business is, know what stage your business is, and use the technology that is relevant to that stage of your business. There's no need going to looking for high technology when you can just use something as simple as social media in the name of trying to transform your business digitally. So start where you are, use what you have, and grow from there. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. Final thoughts from you, Temitope, in 30 seconds.
Hello. Um, okay, so for final thoughts, today was really interesting. I learned a lot myself. I learned a lot from Kachi, Demola, and Avis. I liked what Demola said one period where he said digital transformation is not social media, so that was very interesting. I laughed actually when he said that. Avis spoke about application of digital technology, and how people should fine-tune their use of digital technology to how they want to apply it to their business to solve a particular need. And that was great. Yekachi spoke as a digital marketer, which I am as well. And so, I appreciated our inputs as well. So, in general, I would just say that we've come a long way in terms of technology, in terms of its application to our business, from blockchain to 5G, to the various AI tools that we have today. I would advise businesses, finally to be cautious with how they share their data, and to see how best they can utilize data, because a lot of businesses just have data lying down there and they're not utilizing it to make their business profitable, to make their business more efficient, to increase customer satisfaction and retainment. So they need to see how they can harness their data, either by using some of these tools that are already out there, or if they have tech experience, or they have people that can create the necessary customized digital tools that they need to be able to, turn this data that they already have, to be able to help them analyze that data, interpret it, and then take action on the various data that they have. I think that would be, very important. And everything you are doing should always fit into your customers' needs. It should answer a customer's question. It should solve a customer's pain point. So don't just create for creating sake. I like when Avis spoke about a minimum viable product, having test the market, get your product to have that product market fit, So there's a lot of, but in everything you are doing, everything should revolve around the customer. It's not about you. It's about the customers. It's about people. Don't see people as just numbers on your laptop or something. They are human beings. They are people. Your audience. Some people just carry their Excel sheet and they'll just say, 1 million people. This. They are real human beings. So as much as you can get data as to their pain points, as to how you can create a solution to solve those pain points. And then finally, a lot of startups think the wrong way. So they create a solution, then they start looking for customers that would buy into that solution. That is a wrong way or a wrong mindset for a startup or a small business. What you need to do is to go to the customers first, analyze the market, look at the needs of these people. There are several needs, so look for the one that you can find a solution to. Then start creating that product that will solve that problem. While creating the product, you need to keep giving back to these customers to get feedback from them before you launch your product to the market. And you still keep getting data, get feedback from those customers, get feedback from your staffs as well, to be able to serve them better. It's all about the customers, it's not about you. So I think I would end there.
Thank you very much, Temitope. And like you said, it's all about the customers, it's not about you. So if you have been running business for yourself, you need to relook at your business and then have a rethink and prioritize your customers. Because I mean, if your customers are not getting value from you, they want to go somewhere else where they can get value, and you don't want to lose customers because you were not paying attention to them. So begin to see them as human beings instead of numbers, instead of just orders, instead of we got 12 orders today, 12 unique people actually stopped by the business to engage with us today. How can we serve them better? And it's important to prioritize that. Data is a big deal in the digital transformation space. And it's important that while you are doing everything else to make your business better, you should actually take that data and make the most of it so that your customers can get the best value from you. And that's it from me today. Thank you everyone for being really great participants and listeners on this conversation. To those that sent in questions, thank you for sending your questions. And our panelists, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Like I like to say, this was a masterclass. And if you're able to take say 3 things from this session today, you will be able to make significant changes to your business through the use of technology. So thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Panelists, please do well to send your slides to esther.oware@businessdayonline.com. I will just put the email address in the chat box again. Please send Esther your slides, and Esther can also send the slides to whoever is interested. So if you're also interested in getting the slides, please send an email to Esther so that she can send you the slides as soon as she receives them from our speakers. Thank you, everyone. I will now hand over the microphone to Esther to wrap up this session. Thank you. Esther, are you here? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm not sure that Esther is here. Linda, can you do this on behalf of Esther, please? Hi, Linda, can you hear me? Okay, I don't know if Linda can hear me. Anyone from the Business Day team? Okay, so in the absence of having anyone from the Business Day team close this meeting for us, I would bring it to a close. Thank you, everyone, once again. This is Business Day monthly SME clinic. Till we come your way again next month. Keep doing everything that you need to do to transform your business. Thank you very much, our panelists, and thank you to all of our participants. Enjoy the rest of your day.